that was a movie. So guys, Zoolander 2 is the sequel to the original Zoolander movie that came out 15 years ago. In the first Zoolander movie, the plot was awesome. It was about Ben Stiller getting his brain washed to assassinate some important person. I forget who it was. But he got his brain washed to assassinate this person, and they kind of have to defeat Mugatu, who is the guy who basically did this, and he's like a model, and he was famous, and Owen Wilson was like his rival. The first Zoolander movie, it was so much fun. It was stupid, but it was fun. I really enjoyed the first Zoolander. I don't think it's like one of the best comedies like ever made. I don't think it's like fantastic, but it was a really good comedy. And then we get a sequel 15 years later. And this movie is about, basically about how back in like 2001 or something, the center of kids who can't read good and want to do other things, or whatever it's called, the center that Zoolander made after the first Zoolander ended, it crashes down, kills his wife, scars Hansel in the face, and then they kind of go into exile for 15 years. And eventually they figure out that Zoolander needs to save his son because of really weird stuff that's going on. I don't even remember. So guys, I was actually looking forward to Zoolander 2. Like I said, I enjoyed the first movie. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't fantastic, but it was a really fun, really stupid comedy. I like Ben Stiller, I like Owen Wilson, I like Will Ferrell. They're great comedic actors. And then this movie, I was looking forward to it. I was literally thinking, this could be a good comedy. I was actually looking forward to this movie. The trailers, I thought they looked good. Honestly, this movie, it's not good. No, stop. This movie is really just a mere shadow of the first movie, because the first movie, it was funny. It got me cracking up several times. This movie, I chuckled once at Benedict Cumberbatch's cameo. I think that's it. Benedict Cumberbatch was like a transgender, and he was pretty funny. I like chuckled on that scene, but I'm pretty sure that's the only part I ever laughed at all at this movie. And this is coming from a fan of the first Zoolander movie, someone who actually thought the first Zoolander movie was good, because there are a lot of haters of that movie. I'm not one of them. I thought it was a pretty good movie. And it's just sad to see it go so downhill. So I'd say the only really enjoyable things about this movie are Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. Zoolander and Hansel are still the characters that we love from the first movie. And while they don't really have any funny things to say, I thought they were still good in the movie. I enjoyed the characters of Zoolander and Hansel. I also enjoyed Mugatu, played by Will Ferrell. I think Will Ferrell's good. But like I said, he doesn't have anything funny to say. Penelope Cruz, she was fine. She was a new character. She was basically Zoolander's new love interest after the person from the first movie just dies for no reason. They literally just say she dies by that center of kids who can't read good falls on her. That's literally all it is. They just say she died. And then Penelope Cruz just... Could the actress from the first movie just not make it to do Zoolander 2? Is that what it was? So they had to replace her with Penelope Cruz? I mean, what happened? Penelope Cruz was fine in this movie. Once again, she doesn't really have anything funny to say. Obviously, the biggest problem with Zoolander 2 is just that it's not funny. It's probably obvious from what I said earlier. It's just stupid to a over-exaggerated level. Because, yeah, the first movie, what made it so great is that it was stupid. It was stupid. It was stupid in a funny way. It was stupid in a way that it could just make you laugh and about how ridiculous it was. This movie, it way overdoes the stupidness of the plot so that you have no idea what's going on in the movie. I was just sitting there like, what is going on? What is my life right now? They over-exaggerate the stupidness so that it's not funny, and it's not memorable like the first movie, and they exaggerate it so far to the point where it's hard to understand, and the movie is convoluted, it's hard to follow. I mean, yeah, the first movie was stupid, but it was easy to follow. You can actually follow that movie. This movie, there's just so much stuff going on that doesn't make any sense, and it's impossible to follow the plot. Now, there are also way too many cameos in this movie. Yeah, cameos, I like them. I like cameos. I like it when people cameo in movies. I like cameos. The cameos from the first movie were good. Natalie Portman showed up in that movie. Donald Trump showed up in that movie as well. The cameos in the first movie were good, but they didn't over-exaggerate them to the point where you're tired of doing cameos. Justin Bieber. He was fine, I guess. I didn't really find him that funny, but his segment wasn't like, it wasn't unbearable. And it gets to the point where Zoolander is basically just like shouting out random names of people. Like, I'm gonna spoil a few of the cameos if you actually care about this movie. There's this one part where Zoolander is just like, oh, that's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, that's Katy Perry. It just happens so fast and it feels so forced. Neil deGrasse Tyson is usually just funny without even trying to be funny. I mean, I could watch one of his videos where he's just talking about science, and I just think it's hilarious because he's Neil deGrasse Tyson. But in this movie, his segment felt so forced, and it wasn't funny. I mean, this movie was able to make Neil deGrasse Tyson unfunny. And this movie is literally an hour and a half, and it's just all painful, the entire thing. It's like, you can enjoy watching Zoolander, you can enjoy watching Hansel, but they still don't have anything funny to say, so it's still painful. It's literally just an hour and a half, but it feels like 2 hours and a half. I mean, the climax of this movie goes on for so long. It's like, you think it's gonna end, and then I'd just be like, yes, is the movie finally wrapping up? And it's just like, no, it keeps going, stop, don't do this, no, stop. And they even have references to the first movie that aren't good. Like, remember in the first movie, when Zoolander is in this commercial, and he has a mermaid little fin thing, and he's like, merman! And in this movie, he's a cow. They have a... They have a scene that's paying homage to the merman scene, except he's a cow instead, and someone's milking his udder, and he's like, oh, it's not funny. It's not funny. Just stop. They keep making homages to the first movie, jokes that were actually funny in the first movie, and then changing them to do something a little bit different with it, and it ruins that joke. I mean, honestly, if I watch the first Zoolander again, I'm probably gonna like it less, because of how bad Zoolander 2 was. So a few weeks ago, I did a review of The Fifth Wave. That was an awful movie. It was beyond bad. I couldn't stand that movie. But this movie, I actually, for a while, expected it to be good until the bad reviews came in. I actually expected this movie to be good. Kind of like Fantastic Four last year. And those are the kinds of movies that infuriate me the most. Movies that actually could have had potential, but they did not live up to said potential. So I think so far, even though I haven't seen a lot of movies, Zoolander 2, so far at least, is my least favorite of the year. So guys, I'm gonna give Zoolander 2 a D-. I honestly hated it that much. The only things I liked about it were Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, and Will Ferrell, and they didn't even have anything funny to say. And Benedict Cumberbatch, I forgot about that guy, because he's Benedict Cumberbatch, and his cameo was actually chuckle-worthy. So guys, if you saw Zoolander 2 for some reason, be sure to tell me if you enjoyed yourself, because I certainly didn't. And be sure to subscribe, be sure to like this video, be sure to do everything else, and don't see Zoolander 2. Just don't.